Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning. So let us start our session. So let us just quickly rewind what we have discussed in the last session. So in the last session, we have discussed about so if you want to develop any software application, the application can be web, mobile, Windows, networking, AI, ML applications. First, we need to understand an architecture. So any software application follows a three-tier architecture. Okay, so in the three-tier architecture, we are having the user interface, server, and a database. Next, what is a database? A database is nothing but a physical information storage. It will store the information physical. Next, server. What is a server? Server is a bridge between the user interface and a database. Next, server will take a request from the user interface and send that request to a database. Okay, again, it will take the request, server will take a request from the user interface and send to a database. Next, as per the request, database will send a response to a server, server will send a response to a user interface. So user can able to see the data finally. Okay. Next. So server is simply a bridge between the user interface. Okay. So next, user interface is nothing but a presentation layer. Okay. Next, we have discussed about a web application. Basically, what is a web application? Any application is nothing, is a software component. Any application is not a software component. Same web application is a software component. It was deployed by using it was developed by using a web technologies run on a web browser. Okay. Na? So these web applications are two types. If you are developing application using HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, that is called static, where user cannot able to interact. Next, a dynamic application, where user can able to interact. So anybody missed yesterday's session, so we'll share you the recording. Okay. So next, HTML, CSS, JavaScript is the application having that is called a dynamic web application. Okay. Na? Next, if you want to develop a web application, you must know about the web technologies and run on a web browser, correct? So what are the web technologies? Who develop these web technologies and who is controlling the web technologies? Any web technologies, it is controlled by the World Wide Web. World Wide Web. So our web technologies are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The purpose of HTML is to design a website. The purpose of styles are nothing but a beautify the content. So for example, I'm just opening a Netflix. So this is my website where content is displaying. Okay. So perfectly it was displaying, alignment, everything. Correct? So this is the dynamic application. And this application having a CSS also. Correct? Styles also, beautification also. Now let me remove it. Which one? Styles. Always styles will be under the head section. Okay, correct? So let me remove it. So this is the website without a styles. Okay, so HTML used to design, CSS will add a beautification to the web application. CSS will add beautification to the web application. Okay, is that clear? Next. So if you want to develop a web application, what are the software requirements? So if you want to develop a application, first you require the technology. So which one we are using? HTML, CSS, JavaScript is the technology. Next. Okay, I'm writing a technology. Then who will be compile our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Your browser will be compiled. Where can I able to write HTML, CSS, JavaScript by using a IDE? Okay, so take it as any technology. For example, take it as a Java. Okay, so in the Java, what are the technologies are involved? Java is a framework. It is having a Java programming language. Okay, JDBC. Hibernate, Spring, all these things. It will involve in the technology. Next, who is the compiler of a Java? JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Same for .NET. Okay, .NET also having a compiler. Next, .NET having a language compiler. Next, IDE. Which IDE we are using for Java Eclipse? So any technology. Okay. So any technology, if you want to develop an application, sir, three things are required. One is the technology. Second one is the compiler. Next one is the IDE. Okay. Same here in the web application. HTML, CSS, JavaScript as the technology. Who is compiling this one? Our web browser is compiling. Browser itself a compiler. So as per yesterday session, what we did, we are simply created. So we are simply created a sample HTML page, a skeleton of HTML page. So did I run yesterday? No, I just saved it. It was saved here. What I did, I just opened with the Google Chrome. So application was opened. So once the application was opened, our web browser, whoever is opening this application, whoever is opening this file, right? This will compile your HTML, CSS, JavaScript and display. So tomorrow onwards, if anybody asking a browser, for them it is a browser. For you, it is a compiler. Okay. Na? So this is the what we have discussed in the last session. In today's session, so let us discuss about if I want to create a sample application, simple application, even it is a simple or complex application, first we should be create as per the rules and regulations of a web application. Okay. Na? Web application folder structure. Okay, so everyone please take a heading web application folder structure. Okay, so if you want to develop a web application, first you must follow some folder structure. So in yesterday's session, I have shown in the Notepad++. In today's session, we will install the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so everyone please go observe here. So how to download a VS Code? Go to the official website of VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Okay, clicking on a download. Visual Studio Code is a perfect IDE for web application development. So Visual Studio Code is from the Microsoft. Microsoft having almost all are paid tools, but Visual Studio, few are the free tools also. For you, it is the Windows, download Windows. If you are using Ubuntu or you are using the Mac, so respect to exe download it. I'm just downloading this one. So it was downloading almost. So accept. Next, if you want to create a desktop shortcut icon, press on this checkbox. Simply next, install. So now it will install a Visual Studio Code into your system. Okay. So what is a Visual Studio Code? This is the perfect IDE where you can able to develop your code. Okay. Next, Visual Studio Code having the by default web application compiler also. Okay, now we will show everything. Okay, let it install. So everyone, after this session, please install Visual Studio Code. If you already having the Visual Studio Code, that is perfect. Okay, so it is just opening the previous batch code. So now let us start here. Okay, so what we need to do now? So simply let me create So my application name is the sample app. Okay, so create application name. So if you want to create first, create application folder. First, you must create a application folder. So take the steps parallelly. So create application folder. So this is my application folder. Next, go to Visual Studio Code, open that folder. Example, so sample. Correct? Open this. Okay, so this is my application. From now, you need to be start to create it. Okay, so what we did, go to VS Code, go to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so what we did, file, open folder. Go to Visual Studio Code and go to the file and open folder. So it will open the folder which you created. So this folder. Okay, that folder is nothing but a app. Treat it as this is my, yeah. From now you need to be started. So if you create a web application, what are the folders will be there? Okay, na? So the folders must be, the first one is index.html. Index.html. So see here, as per the real-time architecture, in entire application, one main entry point is there. That is called index.html. So index.html file is an entry point. For example, if you take a Java application, Python, .NET, PHP, any application, there must be one entry point should be there. Here the entry point is index.html is an entry point. Next, this is your root HTML. So index.html is nothing but a root HTML. I am telling you as per the real-time project standard. Okay, na? So index.html will call as a root HTML. So apart from the index.html, we will have some other HTML files also. But this is called as a root HTML. Okay, for example, if I want to load another HTML files, from where it will be load? So remaining all HTML files will be load from the index.html file. In that situation, how to take a decision, I will explain you, don't worry. Okay. Even while we are deploying also, the system will ask which is the root HTML file. Okay. So by sometimes the system will throw an error. System in the sense deployment. You have done the development of an application. You are going to deploy it. Okay. For example, take it as a .NET. In the .NET, we have underscore layout.html. So like this, an application definitely required one entry HTML page. Okay. Can we create it? Yes. So everyone please observe here. Here some icons are there. Okay. Na? So this one is the creating the file. This one is adding a folder. This is the refresh. This is the expand and the collapse. Okay. So this is your file explorer. This is the search. Here is the source control. So if you want to check in into the Git will be check in and check out from here. Okay. If you want to run and debug, if you want to add any extensions, so remote explorer. Okay. So these are the different tool items, but we'll see it. By this moment, we required a default explorer. Okay. Let me create a file called index.html file. So index.html file. So from here, we need to be start to write a code. Okay. So tell me first we need to be create a doc type HTML. If I say doc type HTML, then my system will be treat like I'm using the HTML5 version. Okay. So HTML is the root element. It is having the head and body section. Okay. Welcome to sample app. Welcome to sample. Okay. I just create. Did I compile this one? Nothing. I just created. Okay. So if I created this application, already it is came up. Currently, my one is the Opera default. That is the reason it is showing. Let me open with a Google Chrome. So welcome to sample app. Once the application loads the browser, browser will compile. Already told, browser is the compiler. Okay, you have added the index.html. That is perfect. And telling you about this is the entry point. Okay. So this architecture is almost same to the your React.js also. React.js is the single page application. The entry point is the index.html. Okay. Same in the Angular also. Angular also has the JavaScript framework. In the Angular also, the entry point is the index.html. Any type of application, one entry HTML should be there. Root HTML. That will be index.html. That is the standard. Next. Okay, index file was created perfectly. It was loaded. So next, as per my project, to my project, I need to be create JavaScript files, CSS files, images, correct? So by default, while you are practicing, maybe somebody know about the rules and without the rules, we are going to be create a folder images, correct? And we are trying to add it. But what is the standard? So as per the application standard, where you want to add? So you should not add it. You should be create a folder called assets. What is the folder? Assets. So assets is the folder. Okay, so you need to create a folder called assets. Assets are nothing but, for example, if you take a person, what is your assets means? Physical, correct? Asset is nothing but a properties of, okay, not a virtual. So physical. So assets are nothing but which are the physical files for it. So what are the assets for web application? One is the CSS. Next one is the JavaScript. Next one is the images. These are the assets. So you need to be create a assets folder. Same like here. Under assets folder, create below folders. Okay. Clear my point. So assets are nothing but, for example, if I'm asking what are the assets of you are going to tell your physical property. So same here. All assets should be under here. Okay. Let me, what we need to do, team, here create a folder called assets. Okay. So under the assets, what are the three folders? So see here, this is for the file and this is for second icon for the folder. Okay. Tell me CSS. Next. See under mark, where is under? So if you see here, the underscore is on the CSS. Okay. So wherever the underscore was there, then that respective folder will be created under this one. Okay. So if you are trying, if you are confusing here, what you can do now? Come here, assets folder, CSS. Next, I want to create JavaScript. Next, I want to create images. Okay. So your application specific. Okay. So your application specific, the CSS and the images and the JavaScript should be added under the assets. Where you need to be add under the assets. Is that clear? Okay. Okay, I was clear. Index.html is the root file. Next, if I want to any physical files like CSS, JavaScript images, we need to be under assets. For example, in my application, index.html was there. I want to create a login.html. I want to create a registration.html. I want to create some HTML file. Where can I able to create? Can I create here directly? Login.html? No. This was violating the rule, but it will work. Was violating the rule. Where can I able to create it? You must create another folder called source. Another folder called source. Come out of the assets, create a folder. What is the name of the folder? Source. simply source is calling as a src. Okay, so source folder. Okay, so next file was the source. So what is the source folder? So if you want to add your application specific HTML pages, okay, or other application specific HTML files will be added under the SRC folder. So even you are creating a sample HTML also, you must follow this one. Okay, already told you, right? So if you want to learn anything, as per the rules and regulations only, I'm going to be explained. Okay, index.html, assets and the source. So any HTML file, any application specific feature will be added here. So what in the source we are going to be add? Application specific feature. So what is application specific feature? Example, login, registration, whatever it is, all. Okay. So is that clear, team? So in the source, we need to create an application. Again, if you want to create, for example, I want to create a login.html. No, you should not create a login.html. You must create a folder again. Okay, login is your folder. Under the login folder, you must add a login.html file. For example, you want to create which one? So click on here, wherever you want to create, click on that folder. So I want to create a registration. Create a folder called a registration. Under it, you need to create a registration.html file. So this is the recommended flow. Okay, in the real time, we're following the same. Any type of application, we should be follow the application specific architecture. This is the recommended for the web application. Okay.
సార్ వన్ డౌట్ సార్
Yes, Janvi.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు లాగిన్ పేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు లాగిన్ డాట్ HTML ఓకే రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ సపరేట్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ నావిగేషన్ బార్ అనుకోండి నావిగేషన్ బార్ కూడా కావాలి కదా సార్ అలాంటప్పుడు నావిగేషన్ డాట్ HTML సపరేట్ అట్లా ప్రతిదానికి ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా కంటెంట్ కానీ
Correct. For
మెయిన్
example,
కంటెంట్ కానీ
here's the question from you, navigation. Navigation is the part of the header. Okay. So what this will become in the future also, but your question I will answer. Header, we need to be create a folder. In the header, we need to create again a folder called a navigation. Okay. So in the navigation, we need to create in the header means we may have the navigations, we may have some static, we have the menus, we are having the footers, correct? So all these things. So if you take a one header, it is having the 2 to 3 different combinations. So we need to create a navigation.html. So like this, we need to be created. But end, the architecture should be looks like a simple SRC having a header, login, registration, correct? Again, header having a navigation. Okay. So for example, I have the navigation in the footer. So create another folder called a footer and add a navigation. Is that clear? Janvi?
ఎస్ సార్ బట్ వన్ మోర్ డౌట్ సార్
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు లాగిన్ ఓకే HTML పేజ్ అంటే ఓకే ఇప్పుడు ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పైన హెడర్ దాంట్లో హెడర్ లో నావిగేషన్ దాంట్లో ఇప్పుడు నావిగేషన్ డాట్ HTML ఉంది కదా సార్.
Hmm.
ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు సిఎస్ఎస్ గానీ జిఎస్ గానీ ఇప్పుడు యాడ్ చేయాలంటే అందులో డిఫరెంట్ గా ఉండాలా?
So inner folder rules also I will explain now. Here two types of JavaScript files are there, which are the assets of an application, means which are the common files. Otherwise, which are the application specific. Okay, now if it is the specific to specifically for this navigation, if you want to implement, add another file. So what is this one? Navigation.css. Okay, na? If these are the CSS specific to this navigation. For example, Bootstrap, which is the common, right? Bootstrap, you must add under the CSS, which are the assets. So assets are nothing but a common files across the application. Okay. So specific item should be defined in that folder. If which are the common, you must be defined under the CSS folder. Any
అర్థం
other?
కాలేదు సార్, ఇంకోసారి రిపీట్ చేయాలి అది.
So for example, you are creating a navigation.html. For this navigation, you want to implement some styles. Those styles also should be added under navigation folder only. Okay. So the CSS which
Okay.
is common for across the application. For entire application, I have the common CSS, which are called as a assets. Those should be added under these. Okay. For login having some CSS. Can I add here means? No. You should be create a login dot CSS folder and those specific files will be added here only. Now clear?
Okay, now clear sir.
Okay. Okay. So once the project
Sir,
is grows, all this will become with a practical. Okay. Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు స్మాల్ డౌట్ సార్, అంటే అంత ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదు అనుకుంటా. ఇప్పుడు లాగిన్ అండ్ రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ మీరు ఫోల్డర్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు కదా సార్.
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ నేను రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ ఫామ్, ఇప్పుడు ఆ రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ ఫోల్డర్ నేను పైకి తీసుకెళ్ళాలి అనుకోండి, ఇస్ ఇట్ పాసిబుల్ లేకపోతే క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడే ముందే ప్లాన్ ఉండాలా?
No, 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 no. So this will be come as per the alphabet order.
ఓకే ఓకే, ఆల్ఫా.
CS
ఓకే
is first na images, I for image, J for JavaScript, H, L, R.
ఓకే, ఆర్డర్ వైజ్. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay. So we just created a basic structure. Okay. This is my sample app. So for this app, I want to write a CSS. I want to apply a styles to my element. Okay. So before going to apply styles, let us understand what are the core components of HTML. Okay. Hope everybody is clear about the structure, right? Okay. So here take the one point. So application specific CSS comma JS files add under the your application specific CS and JS files add under the feature folder. Okay, na? For example, you are having the login folder. Okay, login folder. In this login folder, you need to add login.html comma login.css. Okay, now clear? Even you are having the some specific login.js also, if you want to add, you can able to HTML, CSS and Java. But login specific images are don't add here. So images are should be add under the images folder only. You should maintain only one images folder. Okay. So in the assets, what you are going to add here, application specific common code files, which can be common CSS or common JavaScript files. Okay. So the structure was clear to everyone. So next, take a heading, core components of HTML. So what are the core components of HTML? The first one is elements. The first one is elements. Next one is tags. Next one is tags. Next one is attributes. Elements, tags, attributes. Okay, if you take a up core components, there are basically three core components. One is the elements, second one is the tags, next one is the attribute. Entire HTML, these three things are, if you're understanding, total HTML is done. Okay, so now what is an element? What is an element? Okay, so for example, so let me open some website. So this is nothing but a HTML. So let me open a developer tools. Even if you don't know how to open it, how to work with the developer tools, don't worry, we'll come one by one. Okay. So for example, see here, any HTML, the root element is the HTML. This is my head section. This is the body section. So for example, in this body section, so see here, div, footer, script. Okay. Again, if I'm expanding this div, where we can able to see different types of elements. All these are called element. Division is nothing but an element which is represented by the div tag. Okay. So element contains a tag and attribute. Hope everybody clear my statement. An element contain a tag and attribute. Okay. So basically, what is the purpose of element? Element represent the content. Element represent the content. Element represent the content. Element contains a tag and attributes. So for example, if I want to represent a paragraph, paragraph is represented by the p tag. Paragraph is an element or not? Division is element or not? List item is an element or not? Okay, etc. All these are called an elements. Okay. Next, tag. Basically, what tag do? Tag represent the element. Tag represent the element. So for example, division. Division is represented by div tag. Correct? Division element is represented by the div tag. Paragraph. Paragraph is represented by the P. Okay. Image is represented by the IMG. So image is represented by IMG. Okay. So next, attribute. What is an attribute? Attribute will add appearance and behavior to an element. Attribute will add appearance and behavior to an element. So what is mean by appearance? Appearance is nothing but your style, styling, beautification. So behavior is nothing but what is the behavior? For example, action or event. So behavior is nothing but action or event. So behavior is nothing but a action or a event. Okay, give me some attributes. For example, a style. So style is represented by the style comma class. For example, action or event, on click, on change, on focus, all these are called. Okay. And we are having the ID also, we are having the alt also, we are having the rows, call span, we are having the different types of attributes. We'll see all the different types of attributes. Okay, so see here. So for example, this is my content, right? So instead of adding like this, let me add this content inside of some h2 element. Okay, header 2 element, which is represented by the h2. Okay, so for example, let me add a image. How to add a image? By using the img tag, let me add some source. Okay, so let me download some image. No, it was not downloading the image. Let me take some images. So where we need to add the images? Under the assets folder, correct? Under the assets folder. So I have added some image. Uh, let me make it as img1. Okay, which is the JPG format, correct? So let me come here, image. So now if you want to refer a image here, you need to understand how to refer. Okay, so what is the relation between this index.html file and this assets folder? What is the relation in the sense? See, any element, definitely they will have a relation. Okay, na? So same like this, the folders also. For example, if here in this batch I have some students, what is the relation between I'm a trainer, you people are attendees, correct? So take it as a class. In the classroom, students are there, right? They will have a relation. They are the sibling relation they may have, or they can be friends, they can be a students, or they can be some relation should be there. So same like this. So in application, in this my application, some folders are there. There must be some relation. The relation of the folders I will explain you in the next session. Parent relation or sibling relation. Okay. So let me refer this one dot slash. By this moment, just understand dot slash. There is a two ways to refer a file: dot slash and dot slash. Okay. Images jpg1 dot image1 dot jpg. Okay, the relation between the files I will explain in the next section, don't worry. So let me open my website. Image was loaded, correct? Now let me add some label. Okay, na? I'm saying about trainings. Okay, so now understand. So now my intention is I'm going to be explain you about types of elements. So if you are observing here, this element was taken from left to right. So this element was taking the full width, but this element was taking as per the image. So thus the next item also coming. Okay, na? So basically elements are three types. One is the block level elements. It will take end to end. But how to identify the block level element, I will tell you what are the block level elements. Next one is the inline elements. Okay, as per the content, these will be taken the space or width as per the content. Next one is the empty element. Next one is empty element. Okay, so clear? Okay, so now we will take we have discussed about element now. Basically element represent the content. So for example, these elements are having the tag and attributes. Paragraph is an element, division is element, list item is an element. So now let us understand how many types of elements. So whoever is there, the senior people, don't worry. Maybe 1 or 2 sessions, let everybody should understand from scratch, so that everybody will perform understand subject. Okay, so types of elements. Basically, there are 3 types of elements. One is block level element. Next one is inline element. Next one is the empty element. All other elements will be fall under 3 categories: block level, inline, empty elements. So now what is mean by block level? Block level element. Block level element in the sense, see here. Okay, so in the classroom also we are having a student, right? No, entire this row is for me only. That is the reason. If you are adding anything here also. So see here, I'm just adding the plain text. Even the plain text also. See here, it is coming to the next line only or not? Because this is the block level element. Block level element will take a full width in the screen. Okay, it is taking the full width or not from the left to right. Sir, I can't able to see means you can able to see this is the content, but it is taking the full width. How to understand full width is taken or not? Okay, we'll add some background color. Okay, style background color. Let me add a red color. Okay, come on, see here. We will prove it. It is taking full width. Now you can understand it is taking the full width or not. So same here. For this label also, let me add some background color. Okay, label is the inline elements. By the practice, by the sessions, you will understand which are the inline elements and block level elements. By this moment, don't worry. Okay, see, it is taking as per the content or not? Yes. So by this one, we can conclude block level element will take 100% width in the screen. So what are the block level elements? Example, div, paragraph, all header elements, okay, and a few others. Okay, so these are will take 100% width in the screen. The elements which are taking 100% width in the screen are nothing but a block level. Okay. Next one is inline element. What is mean by inline element from this one? So the width of element as per the content. Width of the element will take width as per the content. You are given some content now, it will take that much of width. If the element is taking that much of width, the next element will become side by side because it is not 100%. Example, label, span, anchor tag, and all these elements come under inline elements. We'll see in detail while you are practicing, right? Day by day will come, which are the list of inline, which are the list of block level elements. Next one is empty element. Okay, so what is mean by empty element? Element will not display any content. Okay, and it will not display any content. Okay, na? For example, a break tag, BR and HR. These two are the empty elements. It will not represent any content. Okay, so break means in between the inline elements, if you want to come to the next line, then we will add a break, correct? It will not represent any content. For example, this is my header name. Let me add HR. Okay. Let me refresh. You can able to see the header, right? Next, let me add a break. If you add a break, this will become to the next line. It is breaking the elements. Okay. Only two are the empty elements. Remaining all are either it can be block level element or inline element. Block element in the sense it will take 100% width in the screen. Inline means it will take as per the content. Content is the 5 character, it will take as per the 5 character width. So this statement is important if you want to create a navigation, so menus, so footers, so pop-up, okay, sub menus.
I have a doubt, Krish.
Yeah, Dedipya.
In the Visual Studio Code, when we are referring in the image tag, so when we are referring to the source, can we directly start with slash instead of dot or double
I
dot?
will explain you. The file
Okay.
references, I will explain the next session. As I said, there are two ways to, first we need to understand what is the relation. Okay.
Okay.
So see here, if I expand this one, you can able to see different
Yes.
steps. Okay. Na? So if I expand this one here, you can able to see. First, we need to understand what is the relation between the two files. As per that relation, we are going to use the dot slash or dot slash. Okay. Na? So how to define that I will explain.
Okay, instead of both, directly can we use slash?
That also I will
Is
explain.
that possible? Okay, okay, fine.
So without explain the relation, if I explain that one, maybe people confused. That is it.
Okay, no problem.
So any questions on these three types? So for example, I want to create a menu. Okay. So menu in the sense menu. So in the real time, whenever you must add any feature, you must add one comment so that tomorrow, if anybody able to see this now, they can able to understand. So div is nothing but a one block level element. Let me add a style background color black. So I'm just creating a menu. So if you before going to create a first drop on the paper. For example, this is my website. Here I want to define a menu. So menu will have some menu items. This is the item 1. This is the item 2. Item 3. Correct? So item 1. Item 1. So item 1s are side by side or one after another, which are a side by side. So these items will take the width as per the content. So let me choose a label. Let me choose a label. Or you can able to choose some anchor tag. Okay, na? So anchor tag. That also inline elements. Na? For example, home. For example, home. Next, about us. Next, contact us. Next, some information. Okay, na? Let me please. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so you can't able to see because of the color. light blue. Let me add a light blue. Okay, so now without a styling, so here is the menu, but looks like a menu. No, menu in the sense it should be some hover effect, it should be having some padding, it should be have some separator. All this will be added by using the styles. In the next session, I will start a style. How many ways to apply the style to an element? Okay, na? Can we add directly or external files? Or if you are adding external or internal? We are having the ID based styling, attribute based styling, class based styling, okay, element based styling. We'll apply all these stylings and we'll create a menu. Okay, na? For example, hover effect, that is called one of the type of a class. Classes also having the different types. So that is called pseudo classes. Okay, na? We'll see all these styles in the next session one by one. Okay, so hope everybody is clear now. So in this session, we have created a folder structure. Next, we have discussed about elements, types of elements, tags, and the attributes. Okay, and we just design a sample menu. But this was not a full-fledged menu until you are adding the styles to a menu. So the applying the styles means again we're having the types. In the types, again we're having the 5 to 6 different categories applying based on a element. Okay, na? Next, so in the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, while I'm explaining, I will explain you the CSS. While we are into the React, I will explain the SCSS. Because SCSS required a compiler to convert from SCSS to CSS. So web applications, HTML, CSS, JavaScript will be compiled by the browser. SCSS will not be compiled by the browser. So again, we required one compiler. Got my point? We required another compiler. We will install that compiler and we will compile SCSS to the CSS. But a developer will write a SCSS. Okay. So let us discuss what I have discussed in the today's session. So initial 2 to 3 days, let me go little slow because people are adding. So everybody will be following. So what we have discussed in the today's session. So folder structure as per a project. Okay, so everyone try to create some folder structure. Okay, so next, what are the core components of HTML? What are the core components of HTML? What is an element, comma, tag, comma, attribute? Next, what are the types of elements? What are the types of elements? So today our task is create a web page with folder structure. Okay, na? So create a web page with a folder structure, apply some inline styles. But I will explain in the next session, inline, internal, and external. Apply some inline styles. Okay. Next, in the next week, I will explain the Git on the daily basis. You can able to add your code in the Git so that I can able to check it, how you are going to be, any mistakes are there, okay, na, issues are there. Even if you want to share some code also through the Git, we will refer it.